Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to our inaugural online session of raising connected, happy, successful kids through art in challenging times. We are so grateful for you to be sharing your time with us in this way. This program is being presented by UCLArts Healing as part of our free Hope, Healing Online for People Everywhere series, which was created to enable our global community to build resilience through the arts during this unprecedented time. To learn more about the 20+ sessions offered in this series over the next few months, head to our website after this workshop. Without further ado, I will hand it over to our presenters today, authors of the 2019 National Parenting Products Award-winning book, The Innovative Parent, Erica Curtis and Ping Ho.
Introduce my colleague, Erica Curtis. Erica has been on the faculty of Loyola Marymount University Department of Marital and Family Therapy with specialization in art therapy. She has served on the board of the American Art Therapy Association and as president of its Southern California chapter. She's represented her field in over 50 media channels. I first contacted Erica about a decade ago to ask her for her recommendation of an activity that I could use to present to audiences to help people understand what art therapy is. She gave me 10 suggestions, and it is with this same generosity of spirit that Erica joins us today. So take it away, Erica.
Great, thanks so much, Ping. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and then I'm going to start by telling you all a little story. So here we go. Okay, so before I get into the next part of our presentation, I'm going to tell you actually a story about something that happened several years ago, well, maybe about 3 years ago. And I was in the kitchen, if you can imagine that, and I was cooking. And I was bouncing my little one, my baby, in his bouncy chair. So I'm bouncing and I'm cooking, right? And my older two are in the other room and they're playing. And you might know what that sounds like, right? Especially as we're all sort of, spending a lot of time at home with our kids, and they're in the room and you can hear them. You can hear them playing, right? You know what that sounds like. Stop it! I said stop it! Right? That's what it usually sounds like, right? So that's my daughter screaming at her older brother. So I do what, any parent would do, and I blame my older child and I shout at him from the kitchen, I'm trying to cook, I'm trying to take care of your little brother, whatever you're doing, just stop, okay? Now, side note, this was not my best parenting moment, okay? So this continued, it wasn't working. I shouted again from the kitchen to leave his sister alone. She kept screaming. Finally, he runs to his room and he slams the door. So then I thought, okay, I better try something different. Let me actually use some effective parenting strategies, okay? So, I'm a marriage and family therapist and a board certified art therapist. So I live and breathe best practices in connection and communication, conflict resolution and whatnot. So I thought, okay, let me use my tools. So I go to my son's door and I knock very gently and I said, hey, I'm really sorry. So I'm taking responsibility. I'm modeling an apology after, doing something that was upsetting to somebody. So I say, I'm very sorry. And he responds with, I hate you. So I said, oh, okay. So then I try some more strategies. So I name his feeling for him. I say, you're angry. And then I invite the anger. In therapy, we call this inviting the anger. I say, it's okay if you're angry. You can be angry at me, right? He tells me, go away. So this continues on for a while and nothing really felt like it was getting through. And so then I stopped. I sort of a light bulb went off on my head and I thought, I'm an art therapist. Why am I trying to talk to my child? So I stopped what I was doing and I went and I got a piece of paper and I drew 2 circles. And in one of the circles, I drew a sad face and I wrote, I'm sorry. And the other circle, I left blank and I left a little thought bubble and I just slipped it under his door. And it took about, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds for him to slip it back. And this isn't the image here. This is one from later on, just to use as an example. But in this certain situation, when it came back, he had drawn a sad face in his circle. And in the thought bubble, it said S-R-Y, sorry. right? He opened the door right after that and he gave me a big hug, and then we were able to talk about what happened. Okay, so here's another drawing that I had done also with my oldest son here. This was a situation where he had gotten angry, and I used the same strategy. I wonder what happened. I put in this, the other one, I knew exactly what had happened. I had upset him, right? Because I shouted at him from the kitchen. But in this situation, I wasn't sure what had happened. He was just very upset. And so I had also done this drawing and given it to him and didn't have to give him any instructions. Sometimes you can ask a child, I'm wondering what would be in this circle. Would you like to show me how you feel? But in this situation, I just simply handed him a pen and a piece of paper. And he drew this face and he wrote, I am mad. Okay. So this works for all ages. We like to say that this works from 2 years old to about 200 years old. And Ping has a really fun story to tell actually about how somebody in her own life used this strategy and it worked on her.
Okay. This totally works with adults. I can testify to that. My husband once slipped one of these under my office door, and with a face and a bubble for me to fill out, which, besides cracking me up completely, actually enabled us to share our feelings, which were not at that time being clearly expressed. So
Right.
it works.
So I also shared this strategy with a friend of mine who has 3 boys. And one of her boys has some developmental disabilities. And I got a text message from her maybe a day or 2 later, and it said something like, OMG, Erica, it actually works. And then she sent me this picture here that you see on the screen. And she said, we had pieces of paper going back and forth underneath the door. There was probably like 30 of them. And what was wrong? And he was saying how he was feeling. And she said he didn't tantrum as long as he normally would. He came out of the bathroom sooner. It did not escalate to the point of aggression as it typically would. She said that it helped him to identify his feelings, to connect with her, right? And so this is something that, you know, whether it's a big blow up or something, a more minor conflict, it's a strategy that helps kids to connect quickly, not only with you, but with themselves, with their own feelings. So let's talk a little bit more about why art, why this is so effective, right? So Ping already shared a lot about how it is that the arts can be so effective in helping us connect with one another, but also to connect with ourselves, right? To connect with our own emotional world. I like to think about it in these terms, TLC, right? Tender loving care. So the T is for home turf. So art and play is on a child's home turf. And that goes for older children and teens as well, right? When we talk to them and we expect them to listen and to talk back, we're really asking them to work on our home turf. Right? Their ability to articulate what's going on inside of them, their emotions, and why they might have done something is really not as sophisticated as we would like it to be. Right? And so we often ask them, you know, why did you do that? And either they'll say, I don't know, or they'll make up a lie, because really their brains, you know, depending on, of course, on their chronological age and their developmental age, but their brains are still learning how to identify cause and effect, how to put their emotions to words, how to understand how an interaction with a peer, with a sibling, or somebody else might have caused them to feel something and then caused a behavioral response, right? So when we ask them or invite them to draw instead, or to engage with rhythm or music or movement, it's really working on their home turf, what they feel most capable of doing in terms of self-expression. L is for lowering defenses. So you saw with this example with my son that very quickly, when I offered him this drawing, his walls were able to come down. When I kept asking him to talk to me, his walls were way, way up. Right? It's much less intimidating, and he didn't have to stay so locked into his anger. In a sense, it was like a messenger. It was almost like somebody, you know, it was like, I was just going to say like playing postman or something. It was almost playful in that way. But the paper itself became a messenger for my feelings and my thoughts about the situation. So he could receive that paper, and in so doing, receive what I was trying to communicate to him. And then he could send a message back to me. All right. C is for connects. Art connects us to them, but it also connects them to their own emotional brain. And what I mean by that is exactly what Ping touched on earlier, which is when we are in a heightened state of emotional stress, it's very difficult to access words. That happens with adults as well as children, right? But when we can draw a picture of the feeling first, we have done what's called externalizing the feeling. And now that it's an object that we can observe, we can not only identify it and name it, but now we also have some influence over changing it. So when you're knocking and they're pretending that nobody's home, art can give you a key to get in through the back door. So we're going to do another little activity here, and we encourage everybody at home to do this activity as well. You can grab somebody else in your family if you want to do it with somebody, or if you just want to do this activity by yourself, that's fine as well. Ping and I are going to demonstrate this so that you can see how it works and how you can do this with a child. So in the situation with my son, I just drew blank circles, but you could easily do this by presenting a sheet of emojis or by using your phone, for example, to call up Google Images, emojis, and there you have ready access to emojis that people can select from. Okay, so I'm gonna unshare here so Ping, everybody can see us as we do this. So Ping, how are you doing today?
I am tired
Tired.
And excited at the same time.
Okay, tired and excited. So what I'm going to invite you to do, Ping, is take a look at the emojis here and tell me, and maybe there's one, maybe there's two, which one would be tired, which one would be excited?
It
Can
would
you see
be,
them?
well, actually, I think I can see them. It's the,
Okay, great.
I'm thinking maybe you should put the screen back up so they can see which one I'm pointing to.
Sure, I will do that.
Okay. I am picking the one on the top row, the fourth one in from the very far left.
Okay, so I'm going to actually take my piece of paper right now and my pen,
Okay.
and I'll just go ahead, if that's all right with you, Ping, I'll go ahead and draw this.
Sure.
And what you could do at home is you can also invite the other person to draw it, right? I often say, and I use this a lot working with my clients in my practice, I'll say, would you like me to draw it or would you like to draw it? Is that about right?
Yes, that is
Okay,
totally right. Thank you.
okay, all right. So, so this guy or this character or gal or whatever it is here, right? So this character is tired and excited. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna come back to this view here. All
Okay.
right. So I'm wondering, so I'm just going to write down here. So tired and excited.
Yes. And it's,
So
and
I'm wondering now what this character might be saying.
it might be saying, I'm excited and I'm exhausted and I'm wired from all the adrenaline from these last few weeks.
Okay, it might need a lot of talking bubbles.
Okay.
So it's saying, I'm excited, I'm exhausted, and I'm going to give it another talk bubble. It's got a lot to say.
Okay. I'm wired from all the adrenaline these last few weeks.
From all the adrenaline. All right.
You
And
can
if at
stop it.
home, if you have children or in your business, in your teaching, in your counseling practice, wherever it is that you're interacting with children, if they can't write, then they can either dictate to you and you can write for them, or they can just write however it sounds to them. Because a lot of times kids, especially if they're younger and they're learning how to write, they actually really enjoy to just write it phonetically or make up things that look like letters and then they can say out loud what it says. All right, so here's this character. The character is tired and excited, and it's saying, I'm excited, I'm exhausted, and I'm wired from all the adrenaline the last few weeks, right? Does that look about right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so I'm wondering, sometimes, not always, but sometimes characters are thinking something more or different than what they're saying. So I'm going to give this character a thought bubble now.
Okay.
All right. So I'm wondering if this character would be thinking anything.
We haven't had a tech problem. Yay!
So it says we haven't had a tech problem. Yay! I don't know how to spell yay. Yay! There we go. Did my
Okay.
best.
Right.
All right. So last thing I'm going to ask about this character is if it needs anything. So we know that it's tired and excited. We've learned a little bit more about it. It's actually excited and exhausted, not just tired, it's exhausted and wired from all the adrenaline the last couple days or weeks. And we also see that it's kind of up here somewhere thinking about the fact that there haven't been any technological issues on this program right now. So does it need anything? It could be anything at all, even if it doesn't make any sense.
Yes. Oh my goodness. There's so many things, it's hard to land on it. The first thing it needs is a night of uninterrupted sleep.
Okay. So what would you like to give it?
What?
What should we give it so it can get a night of uninterrupted sleep? What does it need?
Major headphones, maybe earphones.
Like mine, like my
yes, exactly.
my airport controller headphones.
Right.
Okay.
To cut out all extraneous noises and give me some pleasant sounds that will make me sleep well.
Oh, with pleasant sounds?
Yes, with pleasant sounds.
All right, I'm going to give it kind of some like musical notes then. How's that?
Okay. Awesome.
Does it have what it needs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. How was that experience for you, Ping?
It was fun. It was fun. Thank you.
You know, and often was that?
It was enlightening too.
And
yeah.
enlightening. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because as many times as we might do this, you know, and same with our children. I still use this activity with my children at home. I use it at my office with my clients. You know, that new insights always come, right? Because it allows us to pause, it allows children to pause and really reflect and sort of peel back the layers of the onion, right? To the beginning, which is often fine. How are you? Fine. Great. Show me what fine looks like. And sometimes what will happen is fine will look quite differently than fine, right? Sometimes fine might look like, you know, anguish. Sometimes fine might look very tired. Sometimes fine might look very angry or very sad, right? So when we drop below the level of the words and we start to use pictures, we start to get more information about ourselves and one another as well, right? Because also my fine and your fine might look completely different, right? And my excited and your excited might look different. So, right, as I say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. We get a lot more information that way. So if you haven't already done this activity, we really encourage you to take some time to do it later. Go ahead and try to do it later with your child, or maybe set an intention to try it this week at any time, whether it's in the middle of a conflict, if there are siblings in the house that are squabbling. If nothing else, it will shock them out of what they are doing. It has a bit of a surprise effect when you do something completely different like this. It's like a effect where they might actually stop and break out of that cycle. Now, sometimes people will ask me, well, what happens if they say, this is stupid, I don't want to do it? Or I don't know, I'm too tired, right? So we just go with that, right? We go with that. So, okay, so which one would say this is stupid? Right? And so we just go with that. So I'm wondering, so which one of these guys is the one that says, this is stupid? I don't want to do this. Which face would say that? Or, oh, I'm too tired. I don't want to do it. Oh, how tired is tired? Like really tired or a little tired? And then you could even guess, well, like this tired, and you can point to one to kind of get them going. And oftentimes they'll cave in and say, no, not that one, this one, right? So see what that's like to experiment with that this week.